Another couple of kills come through as Steak has nowhere to go. A few more shots will do it. Oh. Boom! The kills come in. And this could be the semifinals for Origen. There's only one man left alive. This will surely be the base. And Europe has a semifinalist in the World Championship.
Well, the action is boiling down here after our first day of quarterfinals in London. And, well, I'm here to talk about all of it in Worlds Tonight with Jatt and Deficio. I'm still a little bit startled because OG made it through. Well, Europe top 4?
Okay.
Great. Now that's, you know, that's obviously awesome for the European fans, fans.
Yeah.
But I think that there are maybe more questions than answers after watching this series, especially knowing what Origen is going to go up against in the semifinals, AHQ or SKT. We'll get to that in a minute. First, let's wrap up these series. I mean, let's start maybe by game 1 and Origen's strategy to give Flash Wolves all the power picks that are available.
Give all the power picks that you want and then beat them anyway. It's
sending a message.
Sending a message.
Okay, these are your best picks and we will beat them.
Yeah.
But it was very close.
Yeah, one thing that I would give Origen is the Anivia pick and slowing down the game proved successful in a lot of different scenarios because neither one of these teams was very good at pushing an advantage. And we knew this coming in. The slowest games, 16th slowest, well, slowest and second slowest coming in, not to mention like the first 15 minutes. I mean, we could have a Worlds Tonight where we're talking about all the opportunities they missed.
Well, I do want to talk about that first because we knew, we have the stats that the Flash Wolves had very slow games coming into the World Championship. They had them at the World Championship. For OG, the same, but it's not necessarily what we've seen from them in the regular season over in the LCS. And they tried it in game 1 and then didn't push their advantage. That is not great for them, knowing that they tried it now in the first 15 minutes and they didn't push through on that.
And I think some of the mistakes they make as a team, Origen, are very basic. One of them is in terms of just the vision control they have. One of the reasons the games were so slow was that none of the teams knew how to push that advantage and like take over the map completely, deny vision from the other team and catch them out. It was kind of like we ward on our side, you ward a little bit on your side, but we will miss some very, very big spots here and there. And Mabel could use that in game 1 to kind of sneak around and catch Nils a few times. And that's not supposed to happen.
And that was the only way Flash Wolves could create opportunity was when Maple was on the block. Like literally the only way throughout all of Worlds. Watching the day where Flash Wolves went 3-0 in group stage, like their glorious ability to get first place, pretty much every single advantage they gained was off of another team trying to fight them, and then they just outplayed the fight. But they weren't able to outplay the fight against Origen, and they also weren't able to create their own opportunity. And then when they were fighting, it was against Anivia, Lulu, Jinx, like these vastly superior team fight compositions.
And that's why we have to talk about the last game, the one that obviously made Origen win the whole thing. That pick and ban phase, we saw adaptations coming in for Flash Wolves. We saw some for Origen earlier, and I feel like almost every time a team changed something in the pick and ban phase, it made them worse.
So,
which is very strange.
In the definition of adaptation, does it have?
I mean, it can be anything.
Is there some form of improvement is necessary to use that word? Because every time they change things, it's like it got worse for the most part.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so adaptation maybe is not the greatest word then.
I actually don't know if that's the
whenever they changed something, okay? So like in the last game, we have like, okay, Jinx is open. They have already first picked Lulu on the side of Origen, and Flash was just saying, we need Rek'Sai. We have to take it early, even though Amazing will always take Elise over Rek'Sai. If we look back at the last few games that's been played, they lock in that Rek'Sai, and obviously Nils is like, oh, I can get a defensive support, a Lulu as well, that Source can play so well, and a Jinx now, which meant they had like the perfect late game comp versus a late game team.
Yeah. The one pick steal that worked the best was actually the Jinx takeaway.
Yeah.
0 games on it in the LCS, plus the playoffs, 0 games on it so far at Worlds, and then success.
You say that was the one, but actually OG pushed that change in game 3 where they were on match point.
But
they decided to take the Jinx and the Tahm Kench, which we thought would be quite an unbeatable combo, as we've seen before.
Tahm Kench and Jinx is one of my favorite 2v2 combos there is in the game because of how strong it is late game. But that was the game where they didn't have any answers to split pushing. Which was also the only time Flash Wolves really had a split pushing advantage, and they used it pretty well. Again, we got to late game, and we could clearly see who had the best comp in almost every single game because they would have like the control in the late game.
Yeah. Another thing that came out of OG was first picking the Darius when they were on the red side twice and leaving it open for counter pick. Maybe you could say, okay, that is because Soaz is confident in that matchup versus Steak and what he can do. And it did net them the game in game 1, was it the pentakill?
Yes.
Game 2?
Yeah, the pentakill out of nowhere, just ran.
Yeah.
They were behind.
He actually played that pentakill really, really well. getting your Noxian Might up on Darius is the most important thing. It means every time he lands an auto attack or a spell on someone, he gets max bleed stack. So you can see, like, the bleeds are also killing the people ridiculously quickly, and he landed every single heal from his Decimate as well. Like, this actually in game one, if it's possible to have like a series-defining moment, it was right there, because Origen was supposed to lose game one, giving up all the power picks. Aside from that game, that's the only team to win on red side. And without that Desperation Baron where they win the Smite War and Soaz gets the pentakill, like maybe we're in game 5 and Flash Wolves is on blue side with a powerful comp.
That European vibe, man. The base races. And
we know how to make it exciting.
Really cool.
We know how to make it very exciting. Origen especially. Origen is such a weird team to watch because they're so different. Like again, the shot calling late game with these backdoors happening, a play like this pulled up by Soaz, but also again some of the problems they have. Communication-wise, they're super good at rotation like macro play and calling these backdoors, but they're horrible at communicating. I'm back in base.
Why do you put yourself in that position?
I'm like, well, we see this all the time. It's like Amazing's like back in base, and then the two side lanes are like, let's keep pushing. Let's just run forward. Oh, we got ganked and died. Okay, what happened? I'm like, how can that keep happening?
Yeah, a basketball analogy for this for me is like their J.R. Smith. That he's a guy who shoots nothing but threes. Sometimes he catches on fire, scores 40 points in a game. Otherwise, he turns the ball over like 15 times and shoots two for 15. Like, that kind of is the way their double teleport game feels to me, because sometimes it's so amazing and they make this great play and you think, Origen, they could literally beat anyone. Because with some of that strategic mastery, they could beat anyone. And then you have times where like a Nivea's split pushing without teleport and they're fighting 4v5. You're like,
but it makes you think, is it strategic mastery? I mean, in some games, like the first game they played versus KT in the first week of the group stage, we were like, oh, wow, fantastic late game calls. But then here, Niels also said, we honestly got lucky. He owned up to it, so to say, and that's coming from him, knowing that he had the team on his back for that last games. They realize it as well.
Of course, I mean, again, we look back at that pentakill in the first game where, yes, they had 4 dragons to 0. That was like the thing that going for them. So to keep baiting Baron for that 5th dragon over and over, which was very smart. Again, that's a good shot calling we see there from Origen. And yet, getting in that position in the first place, and also game 2, where they're playing against Stakes Malphite, everything is going perfect. And then as one team fight, they're like, let's keep chasing the Malphite and group up 4 men together. Stakes smacks them in the head and flash over from Mabel, kills everything. And you're like, why? How could that just happen? So like, that shot calling for the next match has to be so much cleaner for them, because they're doing so many good things, but there's just too many mistakes as well.
It's so scary for Origen. Like, we're going to assume they're going to play SKT. Maybe this world's been full of surprises, but SKT's the lone undefeated team coming in here, and HQ doesn't look near the same level up until this point. So if they do play SKT, that's a team that punishes you for like a single mistake and ends the game off of it.
I tried to ask him about it because, of course, Peke's been around so many World Championships. I kind of feel maybe there's something in there that's like, wow, semifinals, good, man. But then there's someone like Niels who's probably like, oh, I'm going to go all the way. But where are the ends in a matchup like that?
For Origen, we're most likely going to see them try and run the same kind of late game comps and see if they can get Niels on a hypercarry. Like, whenever Origen really needs to win, we've seen it in the final against Fnatic. We've now seen it here when they had to close out the series. They put Niels on this hypercarry and like really try and protect him with everything they have, because he's good enough, he's confident enough, he can make these big plays. So I think they're going to try and do exactly the same against SK Telecom and try and say, if we can play safe for like 30 minutes, like they tried to do here against the Flash Wolves, late game, one team fight can win the whole thing.
I don't think that's a great idea.
I'm not saying it's going to work, but I think for them, that's what they've been trying to do.
At the same time, though, like, stylistically, it's a really bad matchup for Origen. But at the same time, it's an even worse stylistic choice for Origen to say, all right, we're going to compete with them with a bunch of early game champs and try and outplay
just one game. Like, I feel like you have to try.
You can try, sure.
You can try, but it's like...
If you just sit back and say we're going to try and go delay him versus SKT, come on.
If it's your best way to win, I mean, if it has been your playstyle now for a while and you don't trust your early game to be good enough for 3 weeks. The final against Origen, that late game comes as well.
You're right.
Against Fnatic, they had to play themselves.
You're right. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, you're right.
They have a chance because Origen is a really swingy team. And if they make a few nice double teleport plays, and maybe they play AHQ. If it's an AHQ matchup, the whole system changes.
Yeah, and then maybe they underestimate them a tiny bit, because...
And then AHQ crushes them because they're...
Wait. If HQ beats SK Telecom, nobody will say that HQ is a weak team or anything. They are fantastic.
So HQ is fantastic, but in this particular matchup they have on their hands tomorrow versus SKT, there are a lot of questions to be answered. Let's start with maybe the mid lane matchup, rather. Westor, we have been saying how, we don't know how he does it. He trails in CS and then he gets those kills, but now he's up against possibly Faker.
I think we know exactly how Westdoor does it. He loses lane, and then when his team is team fighting, he's like, and he's actually pretty good at team fighting. He picks up kills on the backside. Can't actually fault Westdoor for his team fighting. He creates a lot of pressure despite being down in CS, but he still loses his turret like every single game.
And I keep hearing how it's planned, it's okay that he falls behind. It is not okay that you fall behind, especially not against Faker. That is not okay, because if that tower drops, well, what's going to happen? He's never going to be able to roam because he's sitting so far back farming at a tier 2 tower. Faker has full control. Side lanes will then have problems. So Westdoor is probably the guy who needs to step up the most for HQ to win that matchup, because the rest of the guys have been performing really well on that team. He's the only guy losing the early game.
Yeah, watching the games from HQ in the group stage, Ziv, On, and Albus, great players. Mountain was looking pretty shaky, and Westdoor really shaky.
Yeah.
And
they go up
interestingly enough, they go up against Faker and Bengi, which are kind of good together.
Kind of, a little bit.
Had a good combo. I feel like it's almost the same. You could ask for the ins possibly for OG. If they meet SKT, it's kind of the same for AHQ. Get Jinx maybe for On once again. Try and protect him, try and roll and make those comps that way.
It's going to be something like
Tahm Kench.
Tahm Kench is going to probably be in there. The Jinx, you mentioned it. Try and go late game with their AD carry. Because SK Telecom is a team who has often not run that much backline threat, because they value in these early skirmishes very much, Elise, jungle, and so on for Bengi, to fight in the early game. If you do manage to get past that point with a strong AD carry you can protect, I think late game team fights can be won by HQ. It's just getting there is going to be almost impossible.
And one thing that SKT does do is they do seem to run more mid-game peaking team compositions than others. Obviously, we're a little bit skewed because we just watched Origen versus Flash Wolves, which every game was centered around 40 minutes. Most SKT games don't make it to 40 minutes. They're peaking at 20, winning by 25.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. A lot to be discussed. AHQ versus SKT is coming up tomorrow. Same time, same place, right here from London. We're going to sign off. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Hello, London! We're here at the SSE Arena for the very first quarterfinal.
Here comes the team. Oh dear! Poaches an egg. He gets some damage on his stake. He's off the hill, and it's going to save the game. Origen dropped the Nexus in game 1. Here we go. A massive knockup, and here comes the chain CC and the damage. There come the recess, and Jinx is excited. Welcome them here.
No flash.
No flash.
Take care of the Victor. Elise after, Elise. Victor on me. Victor is slow. You can fight.
Origen start their quarterfinals 2-0.
Just chill, dude. Just chill.
Why can't you chill?
Why don't we sit here and chill, dude?
Why don't we just sit here and chill?
Yeah. Why not? Play some League and chill.
Baron naturally plenty of damage. Niels maybe won't take it for himself. He goes in with Soaz. They gotta be careful. Oh my God! And again, it's no kills. It's just flash rolls taken. Game 3. And L in a bad way, taking more damage. The flash knock of the rocket hits, and Peke from downtown gets the kill.
Now holds super Origen, and look at that grit.
Puts the rocket in. Oh no! And Europe has a semi-finalist at the World Championship as Origen win 3-1.